What is up YouTube? Kalebread here bringing you a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing a video that I've actually been intending to do for a while, the better part of 2 years actually. A YouTube channel that I follow that is a couple actually did this like a while ago, and I made a note of wanting to do it myself, and just one thing led to another and I never actually ended up doing it. The video that I'm doing today is 10 questions to ask yourself before you come out as trans. The YouTube channel that I took these questions from is the Thumb and Toe Show, which I will link in the info below. But otherwise, I just think that these are good questions to ask yourself, and I'm gonna kind of go over the beginning of my transition and, kind of answer the questions for myself as well. So let's just jump right into it. The first question is, am I really trans or am I making this up? Which has been a question that's been heavy on my mind since I came out, which is, going on 4 or 5 years now. I think if you're even asking yourself if you are trans, more than likely you are. If you're questioning that part of your identity, the chances of you being trans are pretty high. So I would definitely, reach out to an expert, a therapist or whatever, somebody to talk to, and really dig into those feelings. The next question is, if I'm trans, why didn't I come out when I was younger? This question has been something that I've thought about a lot, and I think for myself, I didn't really have the language to actually come out as trans when I was a kid. First, I knew I was different. I just chalked it up to being attracted to girls. I tried to tell myself over and over that I was gay for girls, but that didn't really cover it, and it took kind of my grandmother dying and a real look into my life and whether I was happy for me to really move forward with, realizing who I was and coming out and just living my life as me. The next question is, will my doctor respect my identity even if I have a mental health condition? I didn't worry so much whether a doctor would believe me because of my depression, my anxiety, whatever else, but this is definitely a valid concern, especially because doctors tend to ignore the concerns of their patients sometimes, or bad doctors do. If your doctor does that to you, please find another doctor because that's really problematic. It's a valid concern, and if that is the case, you need to find another doctor who realizes that your trans identity is completely separate from whatever mental health conditions you have. The next question is, will I regret my transition? This was a big one for me too, because especially when I first came out as trans, it felt like my personality and my grasp on who I was flimsy at best. It felt like it was constantly slipping through my fingers, but so far I haven't really regretted it at all. It's made me really happy. The next question is, if gender roles are just a social construct, then why do you feel the need to medically transition? This is a doozy of a question, because yeah, sure, gender roles are a social construct, but gender identity isn't. You are totally capable of having this feeling of knowing who you are deep down, and it doesn't have to do with the gender roles that you were assigned when you were born. It has to do with what's going on in your brain and what's going on in your heart. And I think that is a big distinction, because I'm a guy, but other than proposing to my significant other when I'm at that place in my life, I don't really give a shit about any other, gender roles. That's all I can really say on that, is that they're two completely separate different things, and confusing them is kind of invalidating a lot of trans people's identities. The next question is, if this is my truth, then why do I feel ashamed? And I think a lot of trans people feel ashamed of their identities and living their truth because society tells you that's something to be ashamed of. That's really all there is to it. I am not ashamed of my identity until an outside person makes me feel ashamed of my identity. The next question is, will I have any friends after I come out? Am I ready to be alone? So, I knew that my friends would accept me as I was. I was apprehensive about coming out to my family, but as long as I had my friends there to support me, it was kind of a sacrifice that I was willing to make. But actually, the question that I asked myself in regards to am I ready to be alone was, is anybody outside of my friends going to love me? Am I going to find a significant other? Am I going to find somebody to spend the rest of my life with? And the answer to that is no, you will not be alone for the rest of your life. You will find somebody. People will love you for who you are, and it'll take time, it'll take energy, sometimes it won't feel worth it, but you will find your clan. So even if your friends right now or your blood relatives don't accept you for who you are, you will find the people who do. This next one is a doozy. Will I be fired from my job? So, those who know me know that originally I lived in Connecticut and I worked at a pretty plush job working for a company that manufactures or designs and manufactures submarines for the Navy. In a lot of ways, it tends to be a very conservative job. And because of that, I was incredibly terrified about coming out. And I actually didn't come out at large until after I left because I was so scared of coming out and being fired or being harassed or just not really feeling comfortable with really living my truth at that company. I ended up running across the country because of how terrified I was of that reality. I mean, we also moved here for a fresh start. It's not like we moved to Washington just because I wanted to get away from that company. I just wanted to live my life as me somewhere where people didn't know me before. But depending on the state that you live in, unfortunately, that is something that could happen. Even in states that have protections against being fired for being trans, but they can let you go for another reason. And it's scary, but you will find somewhere that will accept you for who you are. Number 9 is an important one for anybody who's religious. Will God hate me? I am Wiccan, and in one of the Wiccan groups that I was in a while back, had a post about the god and goddess's view of transgender people and whether we were, spitting in the face of what the god and goddess gave us and, that binary dichotomy that people think that they encompass. But I have meditated on this a lot. I have, just given this a lot of thought, and the god and the goddess aren't just the masculine and the feminine. Both of them are all shades of masculinity and feminine, and nature doesn't fit into that binary. So I think that transgender and non-binary individuals are just as much living embodiments of the god and goddess as any other cis person. If you are Christian, this is not something that I can answer for you. I really hope that you do know that it is the people who practice Christianity who will hate you, not actual God. As long as you continue to have faith in him, I'm sure he will still love you. But I cannot speak to that because I am not Christian. I have no authority in that realm. And the last question is, will I be happy once I transition? And this is something that I have worried about constantly for years because I have tried so many things to fill a void that I've had within me for a very long time that I was just so sure that coming out and living my truth was just going to be another band-aid that didn't actually work. But if this is your truth, whatever transitioning means for you, I'm sure you'll be happy. If you have other mental health issues, you should get on meds for those too, because that will help a lot as well. But this is also still a very important question to ask yourself. But yeah, these are questions that every trans person should ask themselves before they come out as trans. Like I said, I will link the YouTube channel that I got these questions from below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!